Okay, what's up, truth seekers? This is Pastor Jacob again with another verse breakdown. This time we'll be doing Colossians 1:15. We want to understand exactly what the Bible means by Jesus Christ being the firstborn of all creation. So let's get to it so it won't be any misunderstanding. Okay, so when we look at Colossians 1:15, we need to read verse 16 as well to get the correct context. Again, as I always say, context, context, context. If we don't read the full context, we won't get the correct understanding. And therefore, words or phrases may throw us off if we don't understand the words we're using. So we got to dig into the context to make sure we understand the text correctly. So let's read verse 15 and 16 together. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn of all creation. For this connects verse 16 to 15. For by him all things were created, in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or dominions or rulers or authorities. All things were created through him and for him. So when we read verses 15 and 16 together, we get the context of what it means for Jesus Christ to be the firstborn of all creation. The firstborn of all creation does not mean, as many Jehovah's Witnesses will tell you, that it means that Jesus was the first of God's creations, that he was the greatest of God's creations. No, we'll leave that for the angels. We know that the book of Hebrews lets us know clearly that Jesus was not like any of the angels. So you can't compare the angels to Jesus Christ, and they were the first and greatest of his creation. Firstborn doesn't mean what it may sound like it means on face value, on surface level. So when you understand firstborn as the Bible uses it, you go back to the Old Testament. Understand that God called David the firstborn of all the kings of the world, meaning that David was the big dog. David was, in God's eyes, the top, the cream of the crop of all the kings of the world. Now, was David the first king of the world? Absolutely not. Was David the firstborn king of Israel? Absolutely not. No. What it meant was his rank. David was the top. In God's sight, David was the greatest king of all time in God's eyes. So then when we understand firstborn, another way to look at it too is, again, in the Old Testament, in the Jewish culture, the male, the firstborn male of the family was the one blessed to carry the family's name along. That's why Jacob and Esau had that big fight over the birthright, because the firstborn male of the family was supposed to be blessed by the father of that family. And when that father would die, then that firstborn male, that firstborn son, would become head of the household, and the other children in the household would have to look up to him and go to him, and through him he had the power in that household. So here the Bible is saying that Jesus is the firstborn of all creation, meaning that because he created all things, as we see in verse 16, and all things were created for him, it is that Jesus has the rank of the highest. That Jesus is in authority over all things, because all of these things were created by him and for him. It doesn't mean that he was the first one created, because as we looked in John chapter 1, verse 3, all things were created by him. And without him was not anything created that was created. Therefore, Jesus is outside of the created order. Jesus is God. And by him being God, all things were created by him and for his glory. So when we see the firstborn of all creation, we understand that Jesus was not the first one created, but he is the image of the invisible God. He is the icon. He is how we understand God. When we have seen the Son, we have also seen the Father, because Jesus is everything that you will ever see or know or understand of God. Jesus is him in the flesh. Everything that God is, the entirety of God, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, lived in the body of Jesus Christ. So when we understand Jesus Christ fully and completely, we have no problem with his deity. We have no questions about if he's God or not. He is the firstborn of all creation, meaning that he is in authority. He is the king of all kings. He is the authority of all authorities. He is the most powerful of all powers ever, because he created them all and they all belong to him and they all do his bidding. That's that verse broken down. Hope you understand it now. God bless you.